minutes to sort of decompress and think about it. How do you feel that fight went?
I feel like it went kind of as well as I could. You know, I showed a lot of improvements. I proved a lot to myself out there. Just, you know, really working that confidence, trying to not necessarily just see myself as like the young guy, as like the underdog in all these situations. Like, the guys that I'm fighting have just as much, you know, anxiety about stepping in there with me as I do, you know, with them. So it's trying to shift that mentality of like, he's got to fight me, not the other way around. And I feel like that was a huge step up for me tonight. You know, obviously I've been working on the striking, been working on the wrestling, been working on the grappling, and just my fight IQ overall. And I feel like I've, you know, earned my spot for the evening on the UFC roster. So.
You talk about making that mindset change where they have to fight me, not me fighting them. Was that hard for you to do? Because you seem like a humble guy. I can imagine it's not very easy to get yourself in that mindset. But what was that like, that transition?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, is I felt like my first couple of fights, you know, I felt like I was being walked to my death. You know, that type of mentality. You, especially just being the young guy, you know, always being the guy that's getting beat up in the gym. It's hard to switch that and, you know, be confident, know that my skill set is there and that I can hang with these high-level guys. I can go against, I can do jiu-jitsu against the Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt from Brazil, as legit as they come. You know, I can scramble hard for 15 minutes. And, you know, I can, you know, stay on the feet and, you know, play a relatively smart game and make those switches even when I'm tired. So I feel like I proved a lot to myself tonight and, you know, hopefully to the fans. I'm just trying to not, you know, to take a step back and realize that I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for the fans. I'm not doing this for anybody else. I need to do that for me and not try to just impress everybody else.
It's interesting, right, because you've had a lot of attention on you, much more than someone else coming to the UFC at this point of their lives and stuff. So has that been a weird thing for you to deal with, just thinking like, wow, I'm a noticeable guy already, you know?
Yeah, 100%. It's been a really weird thing to adjust to. Like, not many people my age have to deal with that, where the social media is constantly following you. You have, you know, thousands of people singing your praises, and you've got thousands of people telling you how garbage you are and how you should just quit. And, you know, it's just trying to take that step back and focus on what really matters is, you know, my team, my wife, and just enjoying what I do for a living.
That's awesome. Last one for me. Where do you go from here? Do you have a name? You're going to start calling people out and issuing challenges, or what do you do from here?
You know, I've never been the one to call people out. You know, the O'Malley approach is always a great one. Fight the lowest ranked guy for the most amount of money on the highest spot on the card. But, you know, I'm just going to go back and, you know, look at the things I did well in this fight, look at the things I need to improve on. You know, the past 11 months, I haven't just been training for this fight. I've been training for the rest of my career. I've been training to, you know, be good enough for the next, like, 3, 4, 5 fights. So it's just
especially on those scrambles, a lot of reverses, submission attempts from both of you. So what exactly was the game plan? And if you did have one, was that it, what we saw?
Optimal game plan. I go out there, I throw a, you know, a 1-2, crack him, he goes down. You know, or he falls into a guillotine or something. That's always the optimal game plan. I never want to go that long in a fight, but, you know, you need to be able to. You know, going against Felipe, he's undefeated. Or not undefeated, I'm sorry. He's never been finished. Neither have I. I was expecting, definitely, you know, he wouldn't be able to push me harder than I could push him. And I could feel that. I could feel him starting to wane a little bit in the first round. My arms got a little heavy in the second. He started to pick it back up, but I could feel it. I could feel it at the weigh-ins. I could feel it at the face-offs that he knew that he had to fight me and not the other way around. So it was like, it was my fight to win, and I just had to, you know, keep making these smart fight IQ movements, these smart adjustments, and just really, you know, fight intelligently. Obviously, it was really crazy scrambles, but I ended up coming out on top more than I was on bottom, and yeah, I can't complain.
Well, even going off that, the commentary said after that first round that you guys pretty much stalemated with your scrambling and wrestling and everything. And at that point, I think Paul Fellows said, at this point, it's a marathon, it's a battle between cardio. So was there a moment in there that you just felt like, oh, he's done at this point?
Honestly, at the end of the first, I could feel him starting to, like, kind of sink back a little bit. You know, you can really feel that momentum in the fight when these two guys are just kind of butting heads and clashing back and forth until you feel one guy start to kind of let back, and that's really, you know, that gave me a lot of confidence coming out of the first round. You know, his judo throw was the best thing that he had, and you know, obviously I went in there a few too many times, but I felt really confident going into the second round. I was like, oh, you know, I know exactly what he can do, and now I just try to start imposing my will on him, and you know, the second was close, but then I took it out on the third, and obviously got the finish.
And I think you had him in like a darts choke at some point and a couple other submissions. We couldn't really tell from the angles or anything, but was there any submission in there that you thought like, oh, I got him, and then he kind of popped out?
That one darts a little bit for a second, and I was like, it's not quite where I want it to be. It's towards the end of the round. You can hear him gargling a little bit, but then the angle changed. I'm like, it's not quite there. My coach actually told me between rounds, and he was telling me before the fight, but it's so hard to break of like, stop going for submissions. With this guy, he's a Brazilian. He's not going to want you to sub him out. He's not going to want some little American white kid to, you know, take his, you know, his sport, his, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He doesn't want me to out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu him. He's not going to let me sub him, which was an excellent adjustment for my coach to have me do, and I, you know, shifted to more of the going for a TKO. I felt him starting to kind of fall back, and you know, he's like, hey, my coach was like, hey, put the pressure on him, keep going, and you know, I did it to the finish, and I'm really happy.
And finally, a lot of what's made online, people were posting photos of like your first fight and now, they think you filled out, like you grew up, you just put on more muscle. So did you feel any bigger or stronger in there?
100%. My contender fight, I think I cut water weight from 149. I was crazy undersized. I remember that was my first time ever making 145. I was like, are you sure? Like, when Sean Shelby sent the contract for contender, I was like, are you sure you want me to do featherweight? I'm a lightweight. I had all my fights at lightweight, and I was walking around at like 160, 165. So, you know, the puberty setting in. I was 18 then, I'm 22 now. This is 4 more years of growth, and the testosterone starting to pick up. You can see I got a little bit of stubble. I shaved this morning for you guys, but getting that, 2:30 shadow going. But, you know, I'm definitely filling out a lot more for 45. So, you know, I was talking to my boy Christoph here about, you know, going to the PI and, you know, seeing whether or not I need to stay at 45 or whether I should look at moving up. It's just hard because, you know, you don't want to go up too early or you don't want to stay for too long. Neither one of those are a good idea.
Jason.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Man, you were violent tonight. What was that about?
Well, I really, everything I've done for this fight camp, I've been like, if this were to be my last fight ever, I'd want to do everything perfect. And that was flying across the country to go train with Wonder Boy twice this camp. You know, just getting those striking looks, getting the wrestling looks, really pushing the pace in the gym with my guys at Combat Sport and Fitness, having them push me back, and just kind of building everybody up, using the PI for the dieting, and just everything, like, just locked into place perfectly tonight. You know, my hand wraps felt perfect. You know, Tate wasn't supposed to be on the list for people to wrap hands. I was like, oh, just have it, whoever Tate walks in, I'm like, oh, this is a good night. I love it when he grabs my hands, he does a great job. You know, the weight cut went easier than expected. The dieting went easier than expected. I felt fantastic in the warm-up. Everything, like, really locked in for me tonight. And, you know, it's just hoping that happens every time, and just knowing that even if it doesn't, I still have the skill set. But that stuff just kind of further builds your confidence and your ability that things are moving in the right direction, and to just kind of keep pressing forward. And that's all I did. Just keep taking that step forward each time.
How does it feel to be the first man to finish Corrales?
It's always good, not even necessarily just to finish. It's always nice to finish a guy that's never been finished, and to be able to retain that myself. But to be able to say that I, you know, have grappled against a really high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Judo black belt, and I was able to win those exchanges. You know, I had a grappling match against Renato Moicano back in January. that was a huge confidence builder for me. You know, obviously I didn't win, but I went in there with one of the best to do it. You know, a guy that's gone against so many high-level grapplers. He fought the who's who at 145, and to feel like I was able to hang with him in the grappling, you know, really builds a lot of confidence when you're from, you know, small town Enumclaw. You know, I'm not from some mega gym. I started with the same coach at 8 that I'm here with today, so it feels good.
This was your first fight on a fight night and not a pay-per-view. Do you think you're going to get put back on pay-per-view?
I really like these Apex shows. They're so mellow. You know, being one of the first fights too, I could care less. The nice thing is, you know, with these fight nights, it gives you a better chance for a bonus. And, you know, I try not to put too much stock into it. I'm just taking the fights as they come. You know, I'd fight if there were 100,000 people watching. I'd fight if there were 100 people watching. I'd fight if it was just Dana watching. Yeah, I'm just... I feel like I'm kind of leveling up in the mental aspect of it, and you know, not letting that stuff bother me too much.
2 last ones for me. This is random, but do you like that you're not the youngest fighter on the roster anymore?
There was a while where I was like, had that as a point of pride, but now I think of it more as like, that's an excuse. It's like, oh, being the younger guy, like, he's like, oh, I lost because I was younger, that type of thing. It's you know, really coming in my own and realizing that I'm here for my skill set, not just for my age, and that's, you know, I have to fight these guys that are in their prime, so I gotta stop making excuses for myself. I gotta train harder if I have to make up for those little advantages that they have. But yeah, I feel like I'm doing a good job of it so far.
And your buddy Booger Beard got an article written on UFC.com. I just wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Unfortunately, he knows where I live right now. He's been over to my house, so he might be there right now. Who knows? He's a great guy, though. You always love seeing these people that put out positive stuff. You always love seeing them get the wins. He's a great dude. I've met up with him a couple times in person. Met up with him down here in Vegas. And yeah, no, I wish nothing but the best for him. And you know, if we play our cards right, I might be getting to hang out with him for International Fight Week or something. And yeah, we'll see.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.
It's crazy. You still look so young and baby-faced, even though you, like you said, you had the stubble that you had to shave off earlier. You mentioned filling out and sort of becoming, I guess, more of a man, but also recently, well, as of last year, you've been married now. And how much is that, and eating good food with the wife, how much is that, you know, filled you out a little bit, you know, eating good home cooking, and how much has that strengthened you as a fighter as well, having that?
It's kind of ironic, is I'm the stay-at-home husband here. She's the one working. She's been picking up the slack a little bit in these past 11 months, and I'm really thankful for that. I had her here for the fight week. That was great. She's been with me since before my contender fight. Yeah, she's been a huge support for me, and yeah, I love her and I appreciate her.
I love the emotion that you're feeling right now. Is that just, what is that? Is that just because you have a partner, or what is it about that? I hate to put you, but I love seeing the emotion when you talk about your partner.
Yeah, no, it's just it's nice to have someone to rely on and to you know, come home to. This is a really chaotic sport, and you know, win, lose or draw, I have somebody to see me when I get back from this. So yeah, I'm happy.
That's awesome. And you know, you kind of talked about, you felt like you earned your spot on the roster with this. Is that something just mentally or internally that you've been carrying around, that you thought that, and why is that? Do you feel that you maybe got pushed up to the spotlight, that you weren't worthy of that, or why do you feel like now you've earned your spot on the roster?
I think everybody has that imposter syndrome, you know, especially here in the UFC. Like my last fight, I'm walking around, you know, bumping elbows with Damian Maia, Izzy, you know, all these crazy high-level guys, Max Holloway, and it's, you know, it's crazy to be like, oh, I'm one of their coworkers. Like, it's hard to, you know, put yourself on the same level as them and be like, I belong among these guys, and, you know, I feel like I show that to myself, which is kind of what matters, and, yeah, it's the bosses that are going to keep giving me fights, so I'm happy.
And that might kind of lead into the other thing that you had said, how you realized you needed to do this for yourself and not for anyone else. When did that realization come in, and does that kind of piggyback off what you were just sort of saying?
Yeah, it's like the imposter syndrome. It's like what are other people thinking about me? It's like, it doesn't matter, you know? My life doesn't change whether I win or lose outside. You know, my teammates will still think highly of me, my coaches, my wife. So that doesn't change, but it's like, I want to see what I can do. With the weight cut, the fights, I gain more respect for myself and more self-confidence when I'm able to kind of accomplish these great, you know, triumphs and tribulations, and just, prove that I am who I think I am.
That's awesome. I guess last one, being the stay-at-home spouse, what's your go-to dish that you make for your wife?
I love curries. She does not so much. Spaghetti is a big one. I was actually getting really into making bread for her while I was dieting. It was just, you know, it takes so long to do. So I was making her some sourdough. She probably don't like it, but, you know, something for me to do instead of just, you know, staring at the clock waiting to eat again. So, yeah, you know, I'll make whatever. I made some homemade tortillas I'm going to enjoy when I get home. And, yeah, I'm going to have some tacos. It's going to be a good time.
So you make lots of carbs and breads and stuff when you're cutting weight, huh?
Oh, for sure. I like seeing other people enjoy food when I can. So yeah, I'll take my girl out to dinner, get her something nice, make her something, and it, you know, it helps with the weight cut on my end for some reason.
That's awesome. Congrats on the victory.
Thank you.
We're good. Perfect. Thank you very much.